Hi all, good evening. I'm Salatha Karthikeyan. I lead the e-commerce practice in Accenture. I'm responsible for the strategic growth of e-commerce, and I'm also an enterprise architect responsible for various delivery projects within Accenture on the e-commerce domain. So I started my career in 2006 with IBM India Software Labs, where I started as a developer for WebSphere Commerce. So from then on till today, it's all been commerce. So today I'm going to cover the B2B trends, the projects, interesting projects, what we do, and I was trying to relate because this is kind of a higher topic than when it comes to Magento or the technical the audience here. So I was just trying to relate how would I make you understand on a technical a developer standpoint. Anyways, you are the advocates of the customer, so let's see what is the trends and how could you map it to your daily works. So Accenture Interactive did a survey with 1,000 plus sales representatives in B2B space and wanted to understand the changing landscape of what is happening in the B2B, and also wanted to embrace the business to understand where are the business opportunities lies, because commerce is no more a order transaction. It's just not a just somebody goes to the site and adding something to the cart. It has become much more. It's an ecosystem. Everything you do consists of commerce. So when we before seeing the future, I thought let's see how commerce has evolved. So 1995, when Amazon launched its first product to sell the books in the e-commerce, to today, everything is been commerce driven. So when eBay was born, and then Alibaba started its B2B and B2B2C kind of use cases, and then when Cyber Monday was termed, some Americans spend millions of dollars in one day, and that's how the Cyber Monday coined. And then social media came into picture, where the products, reviews and ratings were put in the social media, and social media dominated the ratings and reviews. Based on that, the journeys and the product styles were changed. And then we started using payment gateways. All big shots have their own payment gateways for getting the data insights, understanding how the journeys flows, where the investment has to be made, etc. And we as tech salvies, we also started using all the payment gateways. And then we had IoT coming into picture, where sensors were built inside the product, and based on the sensors, the product itself were smart enough to buy and replace their own products, or let's say a smart fridge or a smart coffee machine. They started sensing their self and understanding if there is a product requirement is there, and they started placing order by itself. So starting from 1995, it's just 25 years, the evolution has been too much. And what we see, and what per Forrester and Gartner, we see a $1 trillion business opportunities in US alone by 2020 for the B2B business. And at the same time, the data says there will be a dip of 20% of revenue coming from the offline channels. So you being the advocate of your clients, you should know where this 20%, why the 20% dip is happening in the offline, and where should they invest to get these kind of businesses. So what's happening is, before B2B customers would think just let's set up a portal. So let's put the catalogs there. Let's have the buying as a order entry, and somebody adds to the cart and it's getting checked out. So that's no more the case. So our generation and the younger generations are very tech salvies. They wanted to understand they work more on using voice commands. Today I use more WhatsApp than any other applications. My son speaks with Alexa, and in no time he'll place an order using Alexa. So that's where we are headed. And if we are seeing a customer, it's still the same way. All you built is a product page, cart page, and then your customer checks out. But that's not required by the end user. So today, conversational commerce is coming into picture. So if you take WhatsApp, you need to understand what kind of WhatsApp business APIs has been enabled, and using WhatsApp, how your business can be done. So if I am an end user, I want to do a reorder, I don't want to log into the portal, understand the SKUs, understand what I've done past. Rather, it would be very simple to go to WhatsApp, and if there is a reorder button, just press that and my reorder is done. So that's where we are heading, and that's where we want to advocate our customers to head as well. So when implementing, things changes. So you as a business analyst or you as a developer, you would have seen the APIs, the REST services or the cart pages or everything built based on what is happening today. But when you start building a conversational commerce kind of a flow, you need your APIs, you have to think your APIs is very different. Your journeys has to be very different. Your security needs to be taken care. You cannot ask a conversational commerce kind of a bot or where you need to enter something, they'll enter whatever they wanted to enter. So your thought process has to be very different. So make sure that you have those kind of journeys put up while you're developing, and those kind of journeys realized when you're putting up your businesses. And next is augmented reality, which we see a lot happening these days. So IKEA started, they wanted to understand if a furniture fits right to your place. So there were a lot of returns which was happening, and they wanted to minimize the returns of products. There were big furnitures which were taken to small apartments which was not fitting them, and the returns were more. So they built a augmented reality. So today customers can go into their office space or their home and see if that particular product fits their room, and the configurations, everything applies, and also they can change the colors and customize and see on the fly without the real product affecting, and that's how the business is increasing using augmented reality. And there were B2B interesting cases where a textile industry does a bulk orders, okay, and then what happens, like they wanted to understand if a particular logo or if a particular color fits the t-shirt. So that particular textile used augmented reality to do that. So that today they'll come to the website, they use augmented reality, they understand if that particular logo fits that particular position, the color fits, the texture fits, etc., and then the order is placed. So the returns are limited, and also you will understand upfront how the product looks and feels. And the next wave which is coming is in Internet of Things. So we have done a very interesting project of connected coffee machine, where connected coffee machine understands if the coffee beans are going out of stock, if the milk is going out of stock, and it automatically triggers that particular sensor, and then order notification is made to the particular vendor. And today we are using it in our Accenture campus itself, those kind of machines. And the second thing is big manufacturers, they change the education system using IoT and AR. So before shipping the product, they use AR to make them understand how that particular machine works, and the fitment of the configurations, the fitment, etc. And also after service is done by IoT devices. So what happens, like when the machine, when we sell a machine, the vendor did not come back again for the servicing part or the monitoring part. Today it is all inbuilt within the product, and that's the kind of APIs and integrations which is happening to your order management system, where auto order is placed, where auto services requests have been raised. There is this Lyft company, Kone, which is completely done an IoT based commerce integration, where the services been automatically triggered by the machine itself. So it understands if there is something lying in the floor, if there is any dirt or something, it has been the camera sensing is been done, and then an auto service request has been placed. So Internet of Things is booming, and when you design, when you go to your customers, understand what product the customer sells. So I'm not sure how many of you have analyzed what products has been put up in your site and what are those guys selling. So understand your products and try to match the journeys, and accordingly if you build, commerce will be very relevant use cases. And when it comes to AI, it's a lot of opportunities. Today we are completely ignoring the data part. So what happens like at B2B, everything was done offline. So it was the customers were calling the sales people and we're doing it things on offline. So what we have to understand is we have to go get those datas and also the other relevant channel datas, and from there you have to create your customer segments, use a cross-sell, upsell, etc. being from there. And the other thing is which comes today as a trend is cloud. So bigger customers are always in cloud. When it comes to medium customers, they have not thought through like their order will end up being so big or growing up to 10x, or the SKUs will grow, or the browsing or the user base will grow. So always they have considered to have these kind of systems on-prem. But when you advocate to your customers, or when you consider the infra, always go with on cloud. So the scalability and other factors will come into handy, and you can use it as you go. So when we were working with different companies, what happens is there were silos of development which was going on. So people were doing IoT, but that was not connected to the e-commerce system. And people were doing AR, VR applications which is not connected. So there were a lot of noise, but end output or end journeys were very less realized. So whenever you design your journeys, or whenever you put up your e-commerce framework, etc., try to reduce the noise. I'll tell you one of the examples how we changed a journey for a customer. And whenever you do a lot of customization, don't bring that to a user experience. So you might be doing a lot of customization in a lot of things, but that need not translate it to a user experience in your front end. So make sure that though you do a lot of customization, your user experience should always be smooth. And whenever a development is done, the next step should always be to automate it. So when your journeys have been connected and then you apply a lot of intelligence to it, that makes autonomous. So whenever the journeys is realized, try to automate them so that your operational cost is always put to new innovations and new ideas. So we had one of our gas distributor agency coming to us and telling that we need a B2B portal, and we supply our products to the technicians, lab technicians, and factories to refill the gases. So ideal way, they asked us a B2B portal. They wanted a similar flow of uploading their catalogs, and lab technicians going to each of the labs to understand if there is a refill required, noting down the cylinder SKUs, etc., and then going back to the portal and ordering this particular product. So this is a classical way of doing things. So what we did is we advised them, let's do things differently. So what we did is we created sensors, and we put in sensors for all the cylinders. So today what happens when there is a refill required, or if there is a monitoring required, that sensors sends the signals to the particular system, and that system automatically triggers the order refill to the e-commerce system. So here if you see, a lot of manual steps have been changed. There were 30 plus lab technicians going to each of the cylinders to understand if there is a refill required, and then noting down the SKUs, and then going to the portal again, searching for those SKUs and doing this order. So now it is all automated, and now this 30 plus manpower can be used for other stuffs. And how do you do it? So whenever you design something, make sure that you do it very in a modular based, because your APIs or whatever you design today it may be used for a website, but tomorrow it will be used for a mobile application, or a AR VR application, or a conversational commerce bot. So make sure whenever you do it in a modular extensive way, and always embrace your ecosystem. So today if you see, end customer will see the products in the search the products using mobile phone, and then he calls the call center to negotiate the price. He goes to the offline store to understand how it looks, and then goes back to the website to place the order. So there are so much of channels involved, and so much of distractions which is happening. But as an end customer, I want to feel the same way, be it mobile, be it web store, or be it offline. So to realize this, you will end up working with marketing systems, you will end up working with service cloud platforms, you will end up working with e-commerce systems, but it doesn't matter to the end customer. So always embrace the ecosystem and make sure your journeys are connected, and it realizes a business opportunity at the end of the day. So these are few steps which needs to be considered whenever you design a business journey or whenever you design an architecture. So once you do that, your manual power can be used for other innovations, your operational cost will definitely come down, and your connected growth, you as commerce and you as a marketing team, or you as a service team will embrace all these things, and you will have a connected growth. So this is an architecture view of how we had to realize these journeys. So when it comes to commerce, you always go with the reference store implementation, or you'll just make sure that you use a proprietary language, be it Salesforce, be it Adobe. Don't do that, because tomorrow your front end will change, your requirement for the experience will change. Today it might be web, tomorrow it might be mobile, and after it might be a new application which comes in. So make your system headless, expose all the APIs, bring a middle layer, so that the passing, let's say you are connecting to a dialog flow, your request and response should be very short. The APIs should be in a very modular way. So in that case, you need to always expose your APIs in a headless fashion, and that needs to be consumed by a layer which understands which system will take my APIs. So accordingly, design your middle layer, and then make sure all the experience is agnostic. Today we have React Native, and tomorrow something else may come in as well. So make sure that all are agnostic, and even when one system goes out, the ecosystem should not be affected. So make sure your architecture is in such a way that the ecosystem is not affected if even one system goes up and another platforms is brought in. So I had only this much. I was not able to connect all these business journeys to a developer thing. So I thought I'll just complete it fast, and thank you.